I realized that it was a fucking doubleheader and we have Austria next weekend. I was like, oh, what if we record a podcast about France and then stop and then also record one about Super Formula?
And when you said that, I thought you said, what if we record a podcast about Friends? And I was real upset.
All right, so no one told you that life was going to be this way.
Hi, and welcome back to the Radio Podcast. My name is Jeff. I'm joined by Austin.
Hello.
And Devin, and we are here to
Hello.
talk. How dare you interrupt me?
You didn't give me space.
Yeah, I just had to kind of like force my flow in.
Hello, I'm here again.
Hello.
Devin is back, and we are here to talk about the 2019 French Grand Prix at Circuit de Paul Ricard in Le Castellet, France, which is on the southern side of France. Not that far.
Castellet.
Fuck you. Not that far from Monaco.
Oh, we just like went across the planet for no fucking reason.
Yeah, just spent all that money to go to Canada.
Well, it's
And now we're
because
back.
it's for when it's nice out in Canada.
It's true. It's when it's not the frozen tundra.
Is it only not?
No, it's pretty nice in Canada. Like the same amount of time, it's pretty nice here.
What?
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 That's like
It's nice for like at least 4 months.
it's like 16 weeks out of the year.
Yeah, but it's not nice in like October, which would be the convenient time to do it.
Is it not nice?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Well, it's not consistently nice then.
There you go.
I
But wet races, man.
Well, no, like snow.
Snowy races, man.
yo, you know it snowed like a foot in Colorado.
Yeah.
They got mountains.
Wild.
Yeah, A Basin got a bunch of snow over the weekend. I was like, snowboarding.
No. It's fucking June.
It's the mountains.
Give it up.
No. Keep snowing
You
forever.
got like 5 months.
I know. It's a long time to go before I can go snowboarding again.
You just gotta chill, dude.
He's trying to chill.
On the mountain. I got new gear. I want to use it.
Yeah, dude, I'm with it, but no, like you gotta just chill out. There's other hobbies that you can take up in
It's true.
the fucking 8 months out of the year where you can't go snowboarding.
And one of them is watching Formula One races.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Segueing back in. Like we mentioned last week, Circuit de Paul Ricard is a clusterfuck of stripy lines and tarmac. Even to the point where I guess Hamilton made a comment about like, yeah, it is kind of difficult to figure out like what apex you're aiming for sometimes before you get used to the track layout. I did not manage to watch any of the practice sessions. I did see that it was pretty consistently Mercedes up top. I think Hamilton was on top of all three practice sessions.
I think so, yeah.
Bottas not far behind, and then P3, 4, and 5 was always a mix
think
of the
that's
Ferraris and
I
Verstappen.
think Bottas was on top in FP2. Because I
Maybe.
set my predictions and then I changed them after FP2.
So you made the same mistake that I did.
Yes.
But guess what?
Fools, the both of
guess
you.
who still scored 20 more points than you
Shut
in
the
this
fuck
weekend?
up. I guess we can talk about that this week, but
We'll talk about it after we get done with the race because spoilers. Let's see. So qualifying. Devin, you did not watch qualifying live, did you?
No, but I did watch it.
You did watch it. Austin, did you watch qualifying?
I also watched it.
Did you watch it live?
No.
You guys are just...
Dude, I got shit going on.
At 8 o'clock in the morning?
I got shit
fucking
house
was
the
on
night
a-
before.
I was on a job site on Saturday at 7:30 a.m.
That's your mistake. Saturdays are for the qualifying day.
Got fucking race car parts to pay for.
Notable things in Q1 are Stroll did not make it out of Q1.
Yeah, as So the track seemed like it was really...
It was ramping up pretty hard at the end.
And at the very end, like, Perez is sitting, like, 15th, I want to say, and he goes and sets a lap, and it's like, boom, Perez is P6. It's like, oh, fuck, Stroll's coming around. If Perez has that pace, maybe Stroll will get through. Boom, P17. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, the McLaren's... yeah, P17, right in front of the Williams. Per usual, his normal spot.
Yeah.
McLaren has been looking surprisingly strong throughout the weekend thus far. They ended up pretty high up in Q1, I want to say.
Yeah. I should know I've made a mistake. Stroll was P18.
Ooh.
Above him was Grosjean, who's also a fuck-up, and Daniel Kvyat, who knew he was going to be starting from the back and was just...
It did not care. He
was trying out some race day stuff.
And then Kimi also got knocked out, didn't he?
No.
Oh, was that Q2?
That was Q2.
Okay. Both Alphas making it through Q1.
Mm-hmm. Grosjean complained here that both Kimi and Ricciardo held him up, but there were no penalties given out for that, which I was thankful for.
Oh, God.
I feel like Grosjean is the one that keeps complaining about this more than anybody.
Yeah. Speaking of penalties, because we're coming off of Canada and people are still talking about Vettel's penalty, at one point Hamilton lost it in one of the practice sessions and then rejoined the track. I think coming up, and Verstappen was the one that was coming up behind him on track, and people were asking if Hamilton was going to get a penalty for the way he rejoined. I'm like, it's fucking practice, guys. Like, the same rules don't exactly apply because nobody's racing each other in practice.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, you have to fucking talk when you're commentating.
No, it wasn't just the commentators. It was like
the internet.
The internet. Yeah.
Fuck them.
Fuck the internet.
Yeah.
It's a god-awful place.
It is.
In Q2, the top teams and some teams you might not expect are trying to set their times on mediums.
Yeah. The top teams, with the exception of Gasly, and teams that you wouldn't expect are McLaren
and Ricciardo.
And Ricciardo. Hulkenberg didn't try?
I don't remember Hulkenberg.
Okay.
But yeah, notably, Gasly is on softs. And yeah, both McLarens, both Mercedes, both Ferraris on mediums.
And it works for them.
Yeah.
It works
for everyone.
Just fine.
Gasly was barely made it through into Q3.
Which is really surprising considering he was on the faster tire. My impression was that the track temps were like almost too hot for the softs to be super functional over any distance on this track.
Yeah.
That sound right?
But still,
I
it's
think
just
track temp was like 56 degrees
Celsius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Q2 was very disappointing to see Gasly much slower than Max while on a faster tire. It's like, oh, this is not looking good for your home race.
I want to speculate.
Sure wasn't.
Is he going to lose his seat this season?
Well, Helmut Marko said that he doesn't have to worry about his seat at Red Bull. Which you can read one of two ways.
You can read it one of two ways.
Yeah. Helmut Marko, kind of notable bastard historically.
So, and then wrapping up Q2, Kimi gets knocked out by Giovinazzi, who squeaks by into Q3.
Yep.
And then it's the Mercedes, the Ferraris, the Red Bulls, the Renaults, and the McLarens. Wait, who?
One Renault.
Okay, Hulkenberg did not make it out of Q2.
Yeah, so Hulkenberg probably tried soft since his time wasn't looking good enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Q3.
Q3, the wind starts to pick up towards the end of the session, just enough for it to be noticeable to the cars. It seemed like the faster times were all happening at the beginning of Q3 as opposed to the end, which is contrary to the rest of the qualifying sessions that have happened thus far.
Yeah.
Hamilton goes out, sets a good lap, provisional pole. Bottas can't match it. Vettel fucks up his first attempt. I don't remember what he did.
Yeah, I don't either.
Basically, just nobody could run down Hamilton in the end. So it ends up Hamilton, Bottas, Leclerc, Verstappen,
Norris,
Sainz,
Vettel,
Vettel,
Ricciardo, Gasly, Giovinazzi.
Giovinazzi.
So, yeah, Gasly not only being outqualified by his teammate, but also Ricardo and also both McLarens. It's like, fuck, Gasly. Like,
What is the deal, man?
ugh.
Who knows? I mean, it's still first year in this chassis,
Yeah,
but still,
it's
you want him to perform better.
really disappointing day, and you're like, well, hopefully race day will go better.
Hopefully.
Your eyes look dead.
Yeah,
So, I mean, really, man, McLaren, third row.
yeah.
It's really good for them.
I'm a happy boy.
Yeah. Remember, is this their second season with that motor?
Yeah.
Remember, you're like, what if they do good in 2018?
What if they do good in 2020?
No, it's you were just a little too
Too soon.
Yes.
soon on that one.
But yeah, I'm somewhat
That-
hopeful
the-
that McLaren might actually be like able to fight with Red Bull next year.
The whole morale of that team, the atmosphere and attitude of that team seems to have completely changed this season. Like they seem way more
weird.
upbeat,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it's partially.
Zach Brown has not been around as much, but also
Oh, I think
Fernando's
he's definitely
not there.
around.
Yeah.
just as much.
When they get rid of that French guy, I don't remember his name.
Partway through last season,
Okay.
Eric Bouillet.
No, it was
Yeah.
the season before, wasn't it?
I don't
No, it
think
was
so.
last
I think
season.
It was like
But they only just brought in a new team principal.
right.
So I think that was probably helpful as well.
I feel like
Because it was just Zach Brown.
They
It's
didn't
like,
mention
eh.
that in the commentary at this race, so I don't know how many races.
I
want
want to say it was like a handful.
yeah.
But yeah, like that team seems like they're in a much, much better shape than they have been.
Agreed.
And it's nice to see. It's
It
good
is.
to see McLaren not
Having
terrible.
a good time. It's also good to see Ricardo out qualifying his teammate.
Yes, which he has almost every race.
Yeah, he has, but the last couple races he's been able to get better than like P10 and P11.
I
where
like to
he'd
see him
been
out
stuck back
qualify
there.
the car that he was driving last year, like or the
Well,
seat, I guess.
yeah.
But like that makes me a little happy.
Yeah.
Speaking of beating your teammates, fun thing I saw recently, which really not that surprising. Speaking of Gasly's disappointing day, and how bad Ricciardo's year was last year, Max has now beat his teammate for every race from Canada last year to Canada this year. Every race that Max actually finished the race,
Wow.
which
good.
he only
I
didn't
expect that streak to
finish
continue.
twice. Yeah,
Yeah, I guess that makes sense because I was like, well, hang on. But China and Monaco were both before
yeah.
Canada last year.
Yeah, I wholly expect that to continue, regardless of who's in that second seat,
Yeah.
because
probably.
it's Max.
Yeah. I kind of want Daniel Kvyat back in that seat.
Boy, what a fucking
Like I'm
What a
full
full
roller
360.
coaster.
he's been doing good this year.
Well,
I think he's got his shit
always-
together.
he's been doing good, but I don't know if it's been consistently good.
Yeah.
Granted, Pierre's not doing consistently good,
No, he's not.
but nor do I know that he was doing consistently good last season. He had a couple standout performances,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it was enough to actually warrant the promotion to.
Yeah. It felt
Red
good,
Bull.
and then he was also really good in Super Formula the year before that.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, man. It feels weird because like we were watching him in Super Formula, and then last year and we're like, "Fuck yeah!"
yeah,
like,
I just
And like same thing with Charles Leclerc in F2 and in Sauber last year. We're like, "Fuck yeah!"
but who's been on the podium this year
It's a
and should have won a race by all?
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, race day.
Race day.
Tell me about it.
What happened before the race?
Before the race. All right. So since I watched this live, I turned the TV on probably 20 minutes before the start of the race when the grid walk stuff is normally happening. But since I was watching on F1 TV, I didn't see the Sky grid walk where they run around and like harass drivers and team principals and engineers. It's just the F1 TV feed of them just cutting to different cameras, and there's audio pickups on these cameras, but there's no dialogue. So it cuts to a shot of a pedestal that is on the track, and then out walks a GIGN, which is like the French SWAT, basically, or like the elite police force of France, like anti-terrorism unit, maybe.
Yeah.
For Rainbow Six. There you go. This dude walks out with the gorilla trophy, and he's in like full gear with like balaclava and everything.
It was Tom Clancy?
Yeah, Tom Clancy walks out that you can barely tell that this is a person and sets the trophy down, and then it cuts away and it's like, what the fuck was that? That was a weird
police state.
That was a weird thing to have happen. And then it shows like a couple more shots of just like the crowd or whatever. And then it cuts back to the trophy where 4 breakdancers start running and flipping and somersaulting up towards the trophy, and they do it like one does a flip and then runs and stands next to the trophy and like points up at it doing, you know, a little dancer pose. And this happens for all 4 of them until the 4th one like takes the trophy and then they run off with it. I'm like, what the fuck is happening at this point? They then run down like this little pathway up to a what looks like a stage platform where they're like acrobating their way up the stage platform and hand this trophy to a guy on what I'm going to describe as a jet board. It's one of those, it's not a jet pack because the motors are under his feet and he's controlling it with like little handheld controls, and he can actually like fly, and he takes off and he's flying around the circuit with the trophy. I'm like, what the fuck is this fever dream? And there's no context or explanation for any of the things that are happening during any of this because there's no dialogue occurring. It's just, here's this story unfolding of police putting the trophy out, breakdancers stealing it, and giving it to Special Ops Jetpack Man. And it was fantastic. This is why you watch races live. Because I don't know if you can go find an archive of that. It wouldn't show up if you went to the F1 TV website and pulled up the race archive. They start pretty much at the race start.
I don't believe that this is a real story then.
I sent you guys a picture from F1's Instagram of the jet guy with the trophy, holding the trophy and flying around. What if he crashed? Like, that can't be a super reliable technology.
I'm sure they had enough confidence in him to let him do that.
Yeah, just, man. And then I did hear one thing from the grid walk of Martin Brundle. I think it was up to Zach Brown, and he turns to the camera and goes, I think I'm going to have to interrupt him, and then taps on Zach Brown's shoulder. He turns around and goes, sorry, Zach, don't mean to interrupt. You motherfucker.
That's exactly what he meant to do.
It is exactly what he meant to do.
I want to talk shit on Martin Brundle for just like 2
Okay,
seconds.
continue.
You know, that motherfucker never won a race in Formula One.
Neither of you.
Yeah, that's true. So we're equally qualified to commentate.
You're right. Well, except for he drove him. He's right about, like, when Norris's suspension failed in Canada.
Yep.
Like, he was pretty quick to notice, like, oh, that tire, you can still see the markings on the sidewall, and, like, it's not scuffed up, so, like, he doesn't...
I'm not
like
saying he's bad. I just looked that up and was like,
Did you know Karun Chandok has never won a race either?
Did you know that Karun Chandok's...
An F1 race, that is.
you know, Damon Hill, he commentates for Sky, and he was the 1996 Formula
Karun
One.
Chandok's analysis of Vettel's penalty is something that Ferrari tried to submit as evidence to the FIA to have them reopen the investigation of the penalty.
Upon which I saw that Lewis Hamilton said, well, I'm not worried about that then. And also Karun Chandok said he was flattered but confused.
Yes. And then asked if he's like, can I send you a bill, Ferrari?
That's funny.
Long story short, Vettel's penalty remains from Canada.
Yes. Unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, unsurprisingly.
I mean, yeah. It's a weird thing.
It was.
Race start.
Race start. Everybody gets away clean at the beginning. No incidents through turn 1. There's good scraps between Sainz and Verstappen and Leclerc. In the first opening segment, Hamilton and Bottas, they both have good
Mercedes.
or decent starts. Yeah. Yeah, both Mercedes have decent starts. They're never really in contention with each other through the first few corners. Nobody's close to them to challenge for their positions either. Really, there's some scraps going on in the midfield and towards the rear of the pack. Nobody's making any contact though. The only notable thing that happens is Perez gets forced off track or goes off track to avoid collision. I think at turn 3, maybe.
I think so.
Between turn 2 and turn 3, it's really hard to tell where you're at on this track because it's a big stripy mess. He goes way wide, and when you go off track at that part of the track, you can't just rejoin. You have to go around a pylon so that you don't gain an advantage by cutting through the corner and just
it's
straight
weird.
lining.
It's like this was like laid out before the race.
Yeah, it's this thing that they're like, look, we put this thing here. You have to go around the left side of it before you rejoin the track. He does this. He rejoins the track, and then he gets a 5-second time penalty for going off track and gaining an advantage. Which,
like, technically,
definitely gained an
he
advantage.
gained an advantage, but
There was nothing he could do. Like,
apart from just stop before and waiting for all the cars to go by, like
It's the start of the race. Like,
yeah, it was like, on the one hand, it's like, yeah, I guess technically by the letter of the law, he did gain an advantage, but he did what you fucking told him to do.
It seems like just the letter of the law in this scenario is in conflict with itself about if you go off track, you have to do this. But if you do that, it turns out in this
you're going to get penalized
specific-
one way or the
Yeah.
other, so why not just rejoin the track?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's pretty much all the lap 1 excitement, I do believe.
Yeah. And then nothing happens.
Then nothing happens. Things that do happen. Kvyat's starting from pretty far back. He makes it around the Williams, no problem. A handful of laps in. Russell is working his way up past Kubica, who he started behind because he had engine part replacement penalties. He's trying to pass him on the outside of the long sweeping corner and can't quite get it done and ends up going a little bit wide, and he knocks out one of like the brake marker boards, like the 150 specifically. Ends up having to pit and get his wing replaced a couple laps later as a result, but not really an impact to his race overall.
Or anyone's, because it's a Williams.
Right. So
one other thing of note, so most of the top 10 starting on mediums, so they're on a decent strategy. The starting on softs, which only Gasly and Giovinazzi did, that seems like the worst strategy of the race.
it sure does.
A lot of people behind them chose to start on hards, although it's probably half and half behind them of mediums and hards.
Yeah.
Like, the main people on hards are Kvyat, Kimi, and Stroll. If nothing else, Racing Point seems like they're good at picking a good strategy for Stroll when he bungles qualifying.
Well, their strategy is just drive as far as you can on the opening stint.
That, you know what? Good point.
Yeah. Where conversely, I feel like Renault kind of hamstrings Ricciardo a bit with their strategy because he started on the medium tire but got pitted the lap before Gasly on the softs.
Yeah.
I think he was one of the first people to make a stop. I'm like, why didn't you run him out any further than that? Which maybe they were like, we know that there's a gap, he will come out. And,
Like, I think they were just like, oh, we're racing Gasly, so we're trying to cover off his stop, and we think the hards will last.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It just seems like they should have waited a few laps from my uneducated point of view.
You
But-
don't have all the data.
It's true.
To
I
analyze.
did not have even a fraction of the data that they did. I had whatever the TV was showing me, which is not much.
Some good scrapping also between Sainz and Lando.
Yeah, Sainz gets around Lando at the start of the race, and Lando is working his way back up to him, and it looks like he's got more pace than him, up until a point where they come on the radio and tell Lando that he can't use his DRS, which at first, my initial thought was like, oh man, I hope they're not just telling him that he can't use this because they don't want them to fight with each other just to hold on to because they're, in 6th and 7th at this point?
Yeah.
The radio message was weird, and it said, like, will it just not work, or am I not allowed? And they're like, you are not allowed.
Yeah, because I think technically it probably would have opened, but then it
would
would
not have closed.
Yeah. and other things would have gone wrong.
Yeah. So Lando is that they come over the radio and tell him that he can't use DRS. That he's not allowed to use DRS, and they say it's a small problem that we're managing. Some 10 to 15 laps later, he comes back on the radio and says, "Hey, I'm having really like aggressive upshifts." And they're like, "Yeah, that's actually the problem that we're managing. You've got hydraulic problems. First, the car is going to become unstable because the differential doesn't have the hydraulic pressure it needs to change like the lockup in it, and then the steering is going to get a lot heavier." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, the steering's getting pretty heavy, actually," which is a bummer for him because he's been doing great this weekend.
McLaren doing fantastic. It's a real shame.
Meanwhile, somebody who's not doing fantastic is Pierre Gasly, who, after both he and Ricciardo stop, Ricciardo catches him up and passes him. And then I want to say it was not long later, you get an onboard of Hamilton. It's like, oh, Hamilton's coming up to pass some back marker, and I can kind of see it. I'm like, oh no. Oh, is that Gasly? And he gets closer and closer. Like, oh, fuck, that's Gasly. And he, like, Lewis laps Gasly, like, halfway through this fucking race. I'm like, oh,
yeah, the top 5 really kind of run away with this race from the rest of the field in a bad way.
Yeah, Vettel gets past both McLarens fairly early on in the race and is up into P5 and is chasing Max down some, but he can't really get him. Leclerc's kind of trying to chase down Bottas, but never really gets him. And yeah, I guess the last thing of note that really happens in this race, one other dumb thing, somebody, like, one of the little bollards, like, falls over into the track, and they call out a VSC for like 20 seconds.
Not even. But this gained me my one safety car for the race, so thank you.
Same.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, it was really weird. I was like, yeah, I guess you got to go get that, but the VSC seemed unnecessary, but maybe the cars were spread out enough that there was no gap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the briefest VSC I've seen.
But yeah, then on the last lap of the race...
hang on. On the second to last lap of the race, Vettel's got like a 50-second spread to Sainz. So they're like, come in and get some softs and let's get you a fast lap. So he goes to go do that.
And Ricciardo is trying to catch Lando and is dogging him, and Lando's having his car problems. Meanwhile, Kimi is trying to get Ricciardo, and Hulkenberg is trying to get Kimi. So you got this pack of 4, and then...
being led by a broken car.
Yeah. So Ricciardo dives in on Lando, goes off a little bit, rejoins. Lando then goes off as well. Kimi gets past both of them, and Hulkenberg gets past Lando. Then Ricciardo goes to pass Kimi and like is passing him off track. Like he goes all 4 wheels off on the straight and manages to get past Kimi as Kimi moves over to give him room. And then for this... and then they go through and finish in that order. Ricciardo, Kimi, Hulkenberg, Lando. And you're like, awesome. Nice to see some actual fighting in this race, finally.
But you didn't get to see it live.
Yeah, because they actually cut away to watch
Leclerc, who had gotten within like a second and a half of Bottas on the last lap. They're like, oh, is he going to make a pass for a second? And nothing ended up happening. Meanwhile, this mess is happening back there with Norris.
Yeah. Like Bottas was trying to like manage his tires because they were looking really rough, so Leclerc was catching him, but like it was like, that's never going to happen.
Nothing came of it.
And yeah, so for running wide on his pass of Lando, Ricciardo picks up a 5-second time penalty, and then for passing Kimi with all 4 off, he also picks up a 5-second time penalty.
So you mean to tell me we're just going to punish action from now on?
Well, I think that Ricciardo had a very teeny all 4 off when he was passing Grosjean in that same spot earlier in the race, and he didn't get anything for it. So I almost wonder if they were like, all right, we let that one slide. We could probably have to do something this, especially considering...
Or you already set precedent. So
the precedent that we set with Vettel in Canada, like, we let that one slide, so if he does it again, we kind of have to penalize him. And so I'm fine with the first one. The second one I don't agree with nearly as much because...
it's a straight... and like he was also, he didn't actually pass him while all 4 were off. He just went all 4 off as he was pulling alongside him, and
they
then
do
Kimmy
that-
moved over, and they got side by side, and then he got
But
passed.
they do that at the start of the race all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel
Like-
like if it were a grass runoff, like they do that stuff too. Like
I watched-
not all four generally, but
This is not F1. This is from the 24 hours of the Nürburgring that happened this weekend also. But
I have a clip from that.
I watched a fucking Porsche pass some fucking Mercedes like fucking four wheels off in the grass at like 200.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, on a straight, like, who cares? It's technically, if you're all four off, that's slower because that like blue section is supposed to be grippier and slow you
Yeah.
down.
Yeah,
So if he can pass there on the straight, let him.
On a straight, I don't think it makes sense to enforce a penalty because there's no advantage to be gained aside from maybe they know they're not going to defend off track. Would be
Yeah.
the only advantage you can get. But you're driving the same distance when you're on straights, whereas if you go off on the corners, you might be on a shorter line that
Yeah.
isn't allowed.
But
But regardless, he gets another 5-second penalty for this.
so, and for his trouble, he gets demoted to P11. Pierre Gasly promoted up to P10 because of this, getting an undeserved point for this pitiful race he ran.
Yeah. Which means Norris ends up P9.
Yeah, P9,
P9
for Norris.
and also gets driver of the day. I voted for him as driver of the day.
did you really?
I sure did.
That's
I-
awesome.
I would have if I were awake.
I was.
Look at Jeff engaging.
engaged.
So yeah, that was our race. It was probably the boringest race of the season.
Which is really saying something considering Canada and
Monaco.
Monaco and even Spain.
I don't remember Spain.
Exactly.
I don't remember anything.
This season has been
I feel like it started pretty
tame.
strong.
no,
Not like last
I was,
year.
not like last year.
Yeah. I don't know. I was
feel like this
optimistic the first like few races, and on the whole, I'm enjoying it. This is the only race that
Agreed.
I've not enjoyed.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the season just in general, but it's been tame in a way that I wasn't expecting. Like, everyone has been pretty measured and reserved at the start of the races where there's been almost no incidents on
Whereas
that line, I
last year
feel
there
like.
was a fucking wreck at the start of
Oh,
every race.
yeah,
Yeah.
every race started with a shit show. And I was expecting more of that considering we have like 3 young drivers,
Yeah. Yeah, what a letdown.
but
Yeah. Austria's up next.
Austria is up next at the Red Bull Ring,
Hell yeah.
which is not in Baden-Württemberg, Germany. I was trying to.
That's where Hockenheim
That's
is.
where Hockenheim is, and where the Germany race this year is going to be.
Oh,
Fun fact: Spielberg, Austria, is
please.
where we're going.
Spielberg.
Spielberg, Austria.
Is Steven from there?
The Red Bull Ring, or otherwise known as the A1 Ring,
Or the Österreich ring.
or the Österreich Ring. Last year, a Red Bull won.
It's
Hell
the
yeah.
first time they've done that,
Yep. Both Mercedes retired from this race last year,
which is how a Red Bull won.
which is how Red Bull won.
Hopefully, we'll have that same luck this year.
Yeah. So.
I would like Mercedes to not win one race this season.
Yeah.
Just one.
Same.
Total Wolf has said that he is concerned that this racetrack has not as much turns that are going to be favorable for Mercedes.
Shut up, Toto. I don't want to hear your troubles.
So he thinks that. So Mercedes won 2.
Yeah, probably.
yeah.
Probably.
Roses are red, Ferraris are fast on the straights. Mercedes won 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Devin. As I want to see like not Mercedes win.
I am looking
I don't
forward.
want them to DNF though.
I'm
Like,
looking forward to McLaren's performance to hopefully not be a one-hit wonder of being good at France and not so great for the rest of the season. So I'm hoping that they can have another pretty solid top 10
I'd
qualifying
like to see
and good race
McLaren
results.
return.
Yeah, I'd like to see Norris get a good result this
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Stroll not making it out of Q1.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to the Williams qualifying P18 or P19 and P20, barring any unforeseen penalties or from parts replacements that other cars may need.
Hey, speaking of Williams,
Tell me about Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Patty Lowe.
He decided that he was really enjoying his sabbatical and was just going to extend that indefinitely by quitting his job.
Yep. So, yeah, he went on a leave of absence right
while
at the
ago.
beginning of winter testing when Williams didn't have their car ready at the beginning of winter testing. He's like, oh, I'm going to step out, or more likely, he was asked to fuck off, and now he's fucking off forever.
I don't think he's fucking off forever. I think he probably is going to get a job somewhere else.
I don't know. Williams was pretty good before he came there. And then
Mercedes was also pretty good while he was there.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. He showed up to Williams, is like, I'm the new technical director, and their next two cars were the worst garbage I've ever seen. So, I don't know.
I don't know, man. He'll probably get
He
a
might be
job
retired.
somewhere for some fucking car manufacturer somewhere. Or some low-rent motorsport team in, like, sports cars or something.
Yeah.
Like, even Ron Dennis runs a fucking car company now.
Wait, does he?
Yeah.
What?
I don't know what it's called. Google it.
If I Google Ron Dennis, I think I'm going to get upsetting results.
It's just
Probably.
going to be about McLaren.
Yeah, so he's out.
Yeah.
And Williams is still going to suck.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll probably take a couple of years to recover from this.
Oh,
Maybe by 2021, Williams will be decent again.
no.
Like, not good, but decent.
No.
Well, there's new rules coming.
That's going to hurt the teams with less budget.
It's going to make it way worse. Also, it's still going to be a Mercedes 1-2.
Something Toto Wolff has said, and I know that you guys are probably just going to be thrilled with this, but he actually says, if you kind of think about it, changing the rules a lot maybe doesn't make sense for trying to let the other teams catch up, because the teams with the biggest budget and that are most easily able to adapt to change, like Mercedes, are going to continue to be dominant after the rule changes. Whereas we're seeing now, you're seeing the midfield start to close up, at least with themselves, with sort of the more steady rule changes that we've had. So there's a balance of changing things up versus letting teams figure out how to do it.
I think a lot of the rule changing, too, is F1 trying to close the field, but it's in like a too micromanaging way. Like last season, the fucking racing was phenomenal.
Yep.
And the cars looked fucking amazing.
Yep.
And then we got an aero change that I still don't understand why we did it.
Because they were trying to make it to where you could drive closer in the wake, and it did not help at all.
Yeah, it does not seem to have.
They tried to make it to where the wake of the car went over the car behind them by making the rear wing taller again and more angry, I guess, more aggressive with the downforce. But it does not seem to be making the impact that they had hoped for. And also, Pirelli seems kind of complacent with everything that they're doing. I did see some comments that the Pirelli guys were talking to the broadcasters during like P1 and basically were like, "Yeah, we didn't care. We make the tires. They'll last a while, or they won't." Like, everybody can fuck off. We're the only ones making tires. Like, shut up.
Yeah, but didn't they just have to compete with like Hankook for the tire contract? Like,
I thought the company pulled out.
I don't remember what the deal was. There were other tire manufacturers who were interested in coming in. So I don't know how to make the racing good.
I don't either. Otherwise, I would probably work for the FIA.
I want to say that I've seen several drivers be like, "Oh yeah, Ross Brawn's plan for 2021 sounds like it'll be good." So hopefully that is actually true.
But we don't
Drivers
actually know
aren't
what that is.
engineers either.
But also, yeah. So I don't know. I'm always hopeful that things will get better, and they never are.
Ross Brawn's a smart guy.
But Ross Brawn is a very smart
He
guy.
is a smart guy.
And if there's one thing he's good at, it's assembling other smart guys to execute his shit. So
Fingers crossed.
I have belief in Ross Brawn to get shit done.
I wish that the engines were like this totally different thing where none of the technology would be able to follow through. And
Like, what if they were wholly electric?
Fuck that.
And those would be motors.
Fuck off.
They would be motors. But fuck that entirely. What if they didn't have any electricals in them?
What? They're just bicycles?
Yes. What if F1 was actually just the Tour de France?
Fuck. We have people like shooting themselves up with their own oxygenated blood.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's called like doping. It's what Lance Armstrong got.
That is not what doping is necessarily. Like that might be a doping.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Anyway, Austria. These times are in Central. Practice 1 is Friday, June the 28th at 4 a.m. Central Time. Practice 2 is Friday, June the 28th at 8 a.m. Practice 3 is Saturday, June 29th at 5 a.m. Qualifying is Saturday, June 29th at 8 a.m. And the race is Sunday, June the 30th at 8:10 a.m.
I'll watch it.
They got a big bull statue on this track, and it's sick.
It is.
That's pretty sick.
It is, in fact, sick.
This is where Daniel Kvyat got the name Torpedo.
I thought that was China.
This helped. China was the first time, and then he did it again here. And then they were like, you know what, that's sticking.
And then he got the little helmet.
And
Yeah,
then he got
I remember
put on
his
helmet.
torpedo helmet. I'm like,
and
that's
then-
fucking cool.
He didn't get invited to Sebastian's birthday party.
Hey, buddy. You want to talk about something else?
Is it Fantasy GP where
It-
I'm crushing it?
It is Fantasy GP.
I'm also kind of crushing it.
Dude, you're back there in P9.
Yeah, but I'm crushing it.
You're
as best
you're
I
holding
can.
down that bottom of the top 10.
I'm climbing up. I'm now even on points with Adam Nielsen.
Yeah, this. So actually, with Adam, I was talking to him. He did not put in.
Shut up.
predictions.
No, he's lying to you. He just wants you
No,
to make
he-
me feel
he-
bad.
He was racing this past weekend and couldn't.
Yeah,
get
with
cell
me
service.
in fantasy.
No, like for realsies. So Jeff,
Yes.
still P1.
Yes, I am.
Hold
You're
it down.
Goddamn right I am.
It's not 30 points. It's 28 points ahead of me.
No, I scored 30 more points. I scored 20 more points than you this week than
Yeah, you lengthened that gap out a little bit.
I sure did.
Uh,
By,
Wait, what
like,
was the
19 points.
gap you just said?
math is hard. Is
Did
it
he do
32?
How many points is it, Devin? Please tell me
Tell
how
me.
much of a commanding lead that I have over my co-host Austin.
Hold on, let me run the numbers.
Calculating. Please stand by.
It's 38.
Nice.
Math is hard. So yeah, Jeff P1 1,126 points. Me P2 1,088 points. And then Zachary Carroll, who's catching up. Dude jumped 2 spots.
Yeah, he gained a lot of points. He was one of the top scorers for this.
Yeah,
weekend.
P3 1,080 points, so 8 points back for me, and then Jake falling back 2 points behind Zach, 1,078 points, and then Daniel, Robbie Veerhout, John, Adam Nielsen, and Devin are tied for P8, P9.
Yes.
Wow.
And after next weekend, that'll be mine because I'm gonna keep climbing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna count
You've been
this.
saying for 8 races, my man.
Yeah, I've been climbing. I was like 14th at the start.
buddy, you moved up 0 position.
Technically, I moved up into 8th. I'm tied at 8th.
No, because the number next to you says 9.
Yeah, but it should be. We should both be 8. Come on.
I got to say, I switched out Alfa Romeo for McLaren going into this weekend, and
worked
it
out.
worked out pretty well for
I
me.
switched out Haas for McLaren.
Yeah, that works out.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I should never have had Haas on my team, but I was like, maybe Magnussen will get me enough points on his own.
I need to consider making some changes. I made one that I was not happy with leading into the race.
What was it?
I swapped out Charles Leclerc for Max Verstappen.
Yeah, fuck, boy. Why would you do that?
I was thinking in regards to like outperforming your teammate.
Yeah, Max will outperform his teammate every time, where Charles will
Charles
rarely.
Charles had gotten me no
I-
points a couple times.
And also, you get points for moving up positions.
Yeah.
And Max is more likely to gain a position than Leclerc. So I think that's actually maybe not a bad move.
Didn't really work out for me the way that I was hoping.
Well, I'm over here winning, so.
Yeah, Jeff's. I'm not going to close that gap. I'm probably going to lose P2 to Zach.
And then me.
Oh, man.
Well,
you
you're
got
gonna
a
lose-
long way to go.
Yeah, but I'm climbing. We got a lot of races left.
So you moved up 0 spots, but my wife moved up 1.
She scored the most points this weekend
Did she?
out of everyone. Yeah.
She's doing well.
Well, maybe.
This one race she did.
Yes, she did.
She's
very
doing
well.
she's doing very well. Yeah, but that's all I got on the fantasy GP front.
But that wasn't the only race this weekend. There was also Formula E, but of course haven't watched that yet because I have to wait for it to go up on YouTube. But that wasn't the only other race this weekend. There was also Super
The 24 hours
Formula.
of the Nürburgring.
What's that?
The 24 hours of the Nürburgring.
They just did a 24 hours last weekend.
That was in France.
Why would they do it again?
This is the German one?
Is this like a full like WEC thing?
It's the 24-hour
I don't
race.
think it's a WEC.
Is it like a DTM thing?
No.
No,
It's like sport cars.
it is.
DTM's like sport cars.
No, they're like touring cars.
Oh, you're right. My bad.
Fucker. But yeah, tell me about that Super Formula, because I already mentioned all I know about the 24 hours of the Nürburgring.
I saw some BMW with his hood popped up run into a wall. That's the Nürburgring thing I saw.
It was a BMW, and his hood was up against his windshield, and he was trying to coast off track, and there was a wall that he was driving very, very slowly, and he was on the off-track side of the wall, and he just unfortunately just centered up right with this fucking barrier that's sticking out, and just bump. Hood came back down.
I can see. Did you guys actually? There's another thing I saw with that race. Did you see the Ferrari that was like on fucking fire,
No.
driving around the track?
What color fire? Like red? Like just regular fire?
Like red and orange, like fire.
I mean, sometimes you get invisible fire.
No, this was very visible fire. Like whole back half of the car engulfed in flames, and he's just cruising around looking for some fucking marshals that are like waiting for him with fire extinguishers. Because ideally, he wants to put the car out so maybe he could get back in the race. And then he finally just pulls off to like a corner station with some flags and stuff. And the guy waving the flags, not in a fire suit, not ready to like put out a fire, so he just keeps waving double yellows. And this fucking driver like gets out of this car and is like just looking for fucking somebody with a fire extinguisher, and finally some dude fucking runs up with 2 fire extinguishers. The driver takes one, the other guy takes one, they put the fucking car out. Dude is mad as fuck and like throws the fire extinguisher as soon as they get the car put out, but it is fucking gone. Like,
Jeez.
but yeah, it was a big old ball of fire.
What circuit layout did they run?
I think it was full Nürburgring.
That's why you don't
The
run full
Nordschleife.
Nürburgring.
Yeah, I think it was the
Right
Nordschleife.
there is why
Yeah.
you don't do that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes, there is no other reason other than there's no way to get enough people with fire extinguishers all over that track.
Put a fire extinguisher in your race car.
I mean,
Put a
But-
fire suppression system in it, and then put fire extinguishers in the cars.
yes.
There's the answer. Run the Nordschleife.
Do F1 cars have that? They do. Because
Fire suppression systems?
yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
Because who was it? Was it Russell? It was Russell in Baku this year when he hit that manhole cover that was sticking up. The fire suppression system in the cockpit was going off, and he said his legs were getting very cold.
Huh.
Super Formula.
Super Formula. So this is round 3 of the season. We are at Sportsland Sugo, which is another fun track name and
where
a
is this?
very fun
It's
track.
in Japan.
It's in Japan.
Where at in Japan?
The Miyagi Prefecture.
I was looking for like a town, but
Why would you be looking for that?
I just want to know where in Japan it is.
I
Point,
think
point
that-
to it on the map.
Where the fuck's...
There you go.
My whole fucking finger covers Japan on this little map because Japan's small unless you get a real big map. Anyway, Japan. This race is 68 laps long. On pole is reigning champion and I think current drivers leading Naoki Yamamoto, Jenson Button's teammate from Super GT, followed by Nojiri. I don't really remember him for anything. P3 is Lucas Auer, who is the second Red Bull driver in Super Formula. Less notable or less talked about than Daniel Ticktum, but qualified P3 here, which is pretty good. Kamui Kobayashi starting
Hell
P5.
yeah. I know that guy.
Harrison Newey starting P11.
I also know that guy.
Nick Cassidy back in P14. The Hondas seem like they're much stronger here. Cassidy is in a Toyota. So he's like towards the back. Sakaguchi, who was really dominant last race, he's starting P15. Cassidy's teammate Kaz Nakajima starting P17. Daniel Ticktum, P19. Artem Markelov, P20. So those two, like, young drivers that I was...
Markelov was from F2, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, him and Ticktum were kind of, like, the drivers to watch, I thought, coming into this. Mm-hmm. And boy, what disappointments they've both been. Like, yeah, and, like, Daniel Ticktum, like, going into this Super Formula season, I was like, he's probably going to step up to Toro Rosso next year. Like, they'll probably replace Kvyat with him. Because that kind of seemed like they wanted to have him in that seat this year, but he didn't have the super license points. And I don't know how you get super license points, but it's not like this. I can tell you that. Anyway, this race, kind of weird. Race starts after lap 1, a ton of cars dive into the pits. So they have a mandatory pit stop. And
trying to get out of the way immediately?
Yes, they have to switch compounds. I think most drivers started on mediums, and then most of them just dove into the pits immediately and switched to the soft tires. They think the soft tire can last this entire race. Yeah. The first of which is Nojiri, who started P2, but also Kobayashi and Cassidy pit. Yamamoto and Lucas Auer both stay out. So now it is running Yamamoto, Auer, Makino, and of the cars that have pitted, you've got Nojiri, Fukuzumi, and then Cassidy. So depending on how things work out, Cassidy's looking like he's in pretty good spot here after starting P14, considering that he's 2 spots behind the guy that started P2. So I'm pretty hopeful. But yeah, after a couple more laps, about two-thirds of the cars have pitted. And some cars start pitting around like lap 15, and this seems like a really bad strategy. Like, this seems like guys that like are realizing like, oh, we probably should have pitted on lap 1 like everybody else did, but they waited too long to get the advantage of stopping early. So now they're just at the fucking back and have no chance of catching up, and it's like, ew, this is looking bad. But meanwhile, the early stoppers are trying to go fast enough to close the gap, and the people that didn't stop, the current race leaders, are trying to stay out long enough to build enough gap that they can pit and still be safe. Overall, like, the first like half of this race is there's not a lot of passing going on, really. You get some really good fights between Kaz Nakajima and Sakaguchi, who neither of them pitted, and so are up into like P7 and P8, but they're not far enough ahead of the people that did pit. It's like, these two probably not going to end up in the points. Even with this, like, the strategy is not really working out because they're just fighting each other the whole time and not making ground up. But also, Nick Cassidy and Kamui Kobayashi are fighting pretty much this whole race, and it's fun to watch. Kobayashi is like trying to catch Cassidy and struggling to do it.
Kobayashi fresh off that 24 Hours of Le Mans loss.
Yes.
So
Kaz Nakajima fresh off his 24 Hours of Le Mans win. Around lap 16, Nojiri is moved up to P9, so you've got Cassidy's P11, Kobayashi is P12, and it's looking good for points for those guys, because top 8 positions pay points, and the top 8 cars all still need to pit. So, those guys are looking good. Meanwhile, Harrison Newey, who didn't stop, is up to P4, and so, as I just said, there's not a lot going on here, as far as me to write notes, so up to lap 50, Harrison Newey comes into the pits, where his car catches on invisible fire.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Invisible fire is the bad fire.
Yeah.
Like, if you can see the fire, it's bad, but it's like mostly okay. If it's invisible fire, you are fucked.
It's like that Ricky Bobby, like, rolling up and down the track.
Yeah.
It's super hot if you can't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, he pulls into the pits, and then, like, they're just fire extinguishing down the car, and, like, he's just staying in the car. And it's like, that thing's, like, definitely on fire, right? And then he eventually, like, jumps out, and, like, they keep spraying it with fire extinguishers. And then they decide to, like, push it back away from all the, like, fuel stuff, like, out of their pit box. Except, one of the guys pushing that fucking car out is not wearing a fire suit. It's just a dude in a short sleeve shirt
No.
pushing this car from its fucking halo. It's like, holy shit, I hope that guy doesn't catch on fire. Luckily, he did not.
Invisible fire.
Yeah, because like, how? I guess I wouldn't know until he fucking threw his arms up and was like, ah. Luckily, he didn't catch on fire. I guess they've got it put out, and that was good. Meanwhile, race leader Naoki Yamamoto comes in lap 52. Auer and Makino from P2 and P3 also come in around the same time. When Makino comes out of the pits, he's looking real twitchy, and like the pit exit is like goes to the right as you come out, and there's like grass between the pit lane exit and the racetrack.
Yep.
He goes straight across that grass onto the racetrack, and like for the next couple laps, his car just like keeps like twitching in a way that's really unpleasant to watch.
Broken control arm, or
I don't know. It looked fucked up. I think he eventually got it under control. Like, again, they don't have tire warmers in this series, so it's like, were his tires just cold? But like, he went off on the pit exit, which he would have been going really slow.
That's
like,
weird.
I don't know. Yeah, he loses a lot of spots because remember he was just P3. Not as many as you would think, but he does lose some spots. But lap 53, Palou, Alex Palou, I want to say. He's like a Spanish driver, and he was on P2, qualified P2 the first race of the season. And it seemed pretty good so far this year. He's the only car not to have pitted, so he's leading the race currently. So it is Palou, then Naoki Yamamoto, then Lucas Auer. Meanwhile, Kobayashi's up to P6 after everybody stopped. Cassidy's P7, and Makino has fallen to P8, but is sat up there. There are a couple cars ahead of Kobayashi and Cassidy. They're looking a bit rough. Also worth noting that Kobayashi at this point has finally managed to get past Cassidy, although it hadn't been shown on camera at this point. Later they showed a replay. It was just like a pretty nice little pass on the straight. And then lap 56, Nojiri from P4 is trying to pass Lucas Auer for P3 in a move that can only be described as never would have happened. And he just is down the main straight, they're going into turn 1, and he just flies past him, and it's like, there's no way he's gonna get this stopped. And he just like spins off into the sand trap and beaches his car there.
Oh no.
And brings out the safety car, which allows Alex Palou to pit under the safety car.
Nice.
Which, very nice for him as the only person that hasn't pitted. Kobayashi and Cassidy in this 3 laps have got past everybody else except for like Yamamoto, Auer, and Nojiri were the only ones ahead of them now. So now we have Yamamoto, Auer, Kobayashi, Cassidy. So it's looking like Kobayashi or Cassidy. Well, Kobayashi's definitely on the podium, unless Cassidy gets past him. But it's looking like Cassidy might end up on the podium. Starting P14 would be pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Which I want to say he did basically that in the first race. He won from, I want to say, like P12.
Yeah.
And Palou comes out of the pits P6, which is pretty good for how he was. Lap 60, the safety car lights go off. It's about to come in, and Yamamoto's backed up the field. They're ready to go, and he goes, and then everybody starts going, and Shows to Boy spins his car into the wall. Another safety car. Like, immediately, I doubt the safety car had even managed to get back into the pit lane when this had happened. It was really weird, and like the cameraman clearly wasn't expecting it, so he's like following the cars ahead, and you just barely see this car go into the wall. It's like, that's weird. And then something that I was not a fan of, they bring out the Snatch Tractor, which is what the commentators call it. Not a fan of that, and also not a fan of what it does, which is just push his car up against the barriers, and then they leave it there. Which, it's like around a corner, it's off the racing line. Like, it would be insane for somebody to hit that, but
it could still happen.
It could still happen.
Yeah.
I wish they'd got rid of it. The safety car comes back in on lap 65 of 68, so only a few laps left. Also, they didn't let back markers pass the safety car, so it is P1, then 2 back markers, and then P2 under this safety car restart.
Good for P1.
Yeah, so Naoki Yamamoto in a pretty good spot, and a pretty bad spot is Lucas Auer. who has 2 back markers ahead of him, and one of which is Daniel Ticktum.
What a disappointment.
What a disappointment. And then, so immediately Kobayashi's all over Auer and gets past him the next lap. And then for the last 2 laps of the race, he's got Nick Cassidy all over him. Although Cassidy has Palu behind him trying to get him as well. Cassidy's not able to get it done on Lucas Auer. So we finish Naoki Yamamoto, Kamui Kobayashi, and Lucas Auer, the top 3, with Cassidy P4, Palu P5. So that brings Naoki's lead in the championship up by a pretty big margin. So you've got Yamamoto with 27 points, Cassidy's P2 with 16, Sekaguchi and Yamashita tied with 10 points, and then Kobayashi's in 5th with 8, tied with Auer, who also has 8. So, yeah.
And this was round 3?
Of 7, I want to say.
I was going to ask how many were left.
Yep.
So we're almost halfway done.
Yep. But, I mean, technically, anything could happen still. Cassidy is...
It often does.
Yeah, with only 10 points paying out for winning a race, like, it's kind of hard to build a gap of more than 10 points, which in 3 races Yamamoto already has. So that's bad, but there's also 1 point for pole position, which Yamamoto also got. But, yeah, it was a very good race, even though, like, for the most of it, there wasn't much to describe. And then we also got the most fun podium ceremony of the year, in which they come up on the podium ceremony and the camera is like slightly off to the side so you can see behind the doorway that's behind the drivers.
Yeah.
There's some sort of mascot just hiding behind this wall. And then eventually he comes out and it's like this white mascot whose head is shaped like a house. He's like got green arms and legs, and he's got like a purse that looks like a corn cob. And
I was very confused.
Yeah, so are the commentators. They're just like, I don't know what this is. And that was fun to see because it's been pretty boring for podiums for both this and Super GT so far. There haven't been any real wild shit.
Special prize is like 15 kilograms of something.
Yeah. It's
if you know how to read Japanese, let us know.
Yeah, they bring out, like, just little cards. Like, often they will get, like, money cards. It was like, oh, here's, like, 500,000 yen. But this is just, like, 15 kilograms, unidentified. I don't know what this is.
It could be rice. It could be cocaine.
I'm assuming...
no fucking idea.
Well, Japan cracks down hard on cocaine. Like, in a... This is a slight tangent, but if you're like an actor, you get caught doing cocaine, they will work to erase the history of all the work you've done. They will write you out of shit. Like, not they will write you out of shit, they will edit you out of shit you've already done.
Damn.
Yeah. Japan don't fucking play when it comes to drug use. But yeah, I'm assuming it's rice, but I don't really know. But normally they just give them bales of rice.
I mean, how much is 15 kilograms of rice? Like, is that a...
It's like 30 pounds of rice.
It's 33 pounds of rice, but what are you going to do with 33 pounds of rice?
Eat it.
Eat it. Like, they normally give them a barrel the size of your goddamn torso. So anyway, that was Super Formula. It was very good.
It sounds very good.
Yeah, and now we've got F1 again next weekend.
This weekend.
This weekend. Austria. It's a good time. Let's see if Red Bull does Lederhosen again. Lederhosen race suits.
I did like those race suits.
Please, Lederhosen.
I actually don't think they did them for the full race suit.
I know, but I thought it was like a nice novelty thing.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping
have in the past.
They didn't race them. They raced in the Texas ones.
I feel like they have raced in the Lederhosen before as well.
Let's hope we don't get another shot at Christian Horner just wearing Lederhosen.
We're gonna.
No. Please, God, no.
Oh, checking my race schedule. Even more importantly than Formula One, Super GT's back this weekend.
Neat. What round?
4.
Where?
Japan.
What prefecture?
It's in Thailand.
That's not a prefecture. Fuck Thailand.com.
It's the Chang International Circuit in Thailand.
That expires next week.
So, unfortunately, that means some teams will not be showing up to this race because they're too poor to
Point to
fly
Thailand
to
on the map.
Thailand.
Ooh, do it. I can't read that from here. That looks like an island, though.
Thailand's an island.
Oh, shit.
It's pretty far.
Yeah, it ain't. I mean, it's pretty close, but it's not.
Them cars got to go on them boats.
They got to fly or boat. I don't really know.
Probably go on boats.
Ah, fuck. Oh, no, I was wrong. That's the Philippines.
Fuck you.
Actually, no, I think that's Indonesia.
Boy, we're just offending.
Thailand is west of Vietnam.
Yeah. And also not an island.
I mean,
It's still going on them boats.
I bet a plane, since they have to go around Vietnam. Like, if on boats, this would be a problem, I bet. I bet it's planes.
I bet it's cargo ships.
I mean, technically, Jeff, everything's an island.
Actually, I would bet money it's cargo ships.
We've had this conversation before about F1 cars.
No, they're on planes.
Sometimes.
I would bet money that they're on planes.
Sometimes. I would agree that sometimes that they are on planes.
But Super GT,
are definitely on boats.
they're definitely on boats.
What about the GT500s?
They're still definitely on boats. On boats, on boats, on boats.
Oh boy, buddy, you were fucking way off again.
What? No, I'm not.
All right, so write in and let us know where Thailand is, because we have no fucking idea.
Thailand is...
Point again?
It's right there.
No.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Fuck.
Damn, it is a long way away.
That map doesn't look like my map.
Maps only look one way.
No? Have you seen the UN's map?
It's an oblate spheroid.
Is the Earth flat?
No.
If you ask the UN, yes.
No. If you refer to the one logo that they have, sure, but
Yeah.
with no other context.
Yeah, that's what they believe. Why would they make it their logo if they didn't believe?
Because sometimes you just make logos.
No.
Because circles look better than rectangles for logos.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the Earth's a fucking sphere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just get that.
You can't print
That can't be a fucking flag.
Because someone's going to be
Just as well.
obscured by the other side.
Yeah, but it's Russia. Who cares?
Presumably all of Russia.
You just make it to where you get like half of North
tips,
America.
You get the tips of Russia on
Yeah.
the other side peeking around.
Yeah, it's like a very proud people.
Anyway, there we go. Wrap this up by offending a bunch of people.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Good
They're
work.
Not listening.
Everyone in Asia.
I bought a URL last year that just said "fuck Thailand." Like,
Ooh.
Yeah, I remember.
I guess Devin's on brand.
carrying it on. Yeah. So this was our last episode, all being together.
Yes,
same
I'm
room.
about to move across the country, so we'll see if I make it to next episode. My
Well,
guess,
definitely not next episode.
Yeah, next
My
week.
guess is no.
Next week I have 2 special guests that'll be on.
And I'm not either of them.
And Jeff's not either of them. Jeff's helping his brother move.
I'm going to New York to do touristy things.
Let me know if they have picante.
I will. Where the fuck are you going to get groceries?
There's a Target literally like 5 minutes of
Do they
walking
just have
away.
like normal stores?
Yeah, it's a fucking Target.
No, it's not like a Target like here.
Is
No,
it like 2
yeah,
stories?
It's a 2-story Target.
Fuck, man, we got to go.
They got a little escalator just for carts.
do
That's
you ride,
fucking
do you ride
wild.
separate from
Holy
your cart?
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to go!
It's fucking rad.
Yeah, like I was looking at like street views.
Do
of,
they
like,
have,
where his
like-
apartments are, and like it's fucking crazy out
Do they
there.
have like 7-Elevens that are just stores and not gas stations the way Vegas does?
I mean, there's bodegas. I don't know if I've seen just like 7-Eleven branded shops, but yeah, you got 7-Eleven equivalents, which are bodegas.
Huh.
And it's like you'll have a man who will not stop his conversation as you come up to pay money.
Is
he
he
won't
on the
even.
phone?
No, he's just talking.
He's like,
to
I'm talking here.
He's talking to the
Hey, you
other.
want a boyga?
Well, he's not talking to me. And then he just
I work
assumes,
at the boyga joint.
One tasty boy.
What the fuck did you say?
I said one tasty boiga coming up.
And this is I'm walking here.
Oh, New York City.
It's where Devin's going to live.
He's going to live there, man.
Yep.
I need you just to, like, wire up a live stream audio only mic of the sidewalk outside of your apartment so I could just...
It's going to be a lot of not English, I'm guessing.
Oof.
Why is that an oof?
Because I can't understand
Yeah.
Oh,
What?
okay.
And neither can you. Like,
Yeah. Actually, I went to a coffee shop and there was a lady having a phone call in Russian the whole time I was there. I was like, this is fun.
And you're like, I got that word.
I know that one word. It's like me trying to tell people I know Spanish.
It's like I get 1 in 30.
Because this Russian is a very fast language.
Oh, yeah. It's... At my peak, I could not understand full Russian sentences that well. Because they speak too fast.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we go. Wrap that up by offending more people after we wrapped it up last time.
It's okay, though. It's the same people.
Yeah.
It's just Russia again.
It's just people who speak Russian. So.
Oh, but also New Yorkers.
Well,
Also
you're going to be
them.
one of them. So
Yeah, so you're my friend, so there we go.
we're going to be talking mad shit in the episodes to come. Just so we're clear.
It's a concrete jungle where dreams are made of.
Sure thing.
That's
buddy.
what I've heard. I hear that they just play it from all the street corners.
That, and they alternate between Empire State of Mind and New York State of Mind, the Billy Joel song.
And Alicia Keys.
No,
What?
she doesn't. She's not part of the Billy Joel one.
Oh,
She's part of Empire State of Mind.
yeah, that one doesn't that have Jay-Z?
Oh, that's not... That's... Oh, I thought that... I just always assumed that was Rihanna.
no, it's Alicia Keys.
No, she has a very
Turn this off.
similarly tonal song. What is it, though? Run This Town one, I think, is what I get mixed up in my mind.
Good luck in New York City, Devin.
Thank you.
And we'll carry on the podcast. We don't know how yet, but we're going to do it.
Thank you.
So
The internet.
the internet's a crazy place where dreams are made of. Right? That's how that saying goes, right?
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
A disgusting shoe.
It's a shoe. It's just as disgusting or not as any other shoe.
No, because you can see how gross it is.
Yep.
That doesn't change how disgusting it is.
Disagree. If I had pissed on my hand versus let it dry and touched you and you couldn't see it, that would not seem disgusting to you? Because you wouldn't know. But if there was active piss on my
The difference is with shoes, you just assume they're disgusting to begin with.
Nope. They should be clean.
There never are.
Do you not wash your shoes every night?
No.
Somebody's fucking up.